Here are today's top stories. The Sandiganbayan upholds the guilty verdict on the plunder case of Janet Lim Napoles. Damage to crops brought by El Niño jumps to 4.35 billion pesos. The Finance Department assures the government's loans from other countries will not drag the Philippines into a debt trap. And Japan announces the name of a new era signifying the reign of its upcoming emperor.
Good day, I am Miguel Hill and welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The Sandiganbayan has affirmed the guilty verdict of businesswoman and pork barrel scam main suspect Janet Lim Napoles for plunder. The court decision stays despite the motion of Napoles claiming that she is not involved in the controversy.
The Sandiganbayan First Division has affirmed its decision convicting businesswoman Janet Lim Napoles of plunder. The court denied her motion for reconsideration as it insisted that Napoles and former Revilla Aid attorney Richard Cambe are the main plunderers of the PDAF or Priority Development Assistance Fund. In her motion, Napoles argued that she is not directly involved in plunder as she is a private individual. She also suggested that Cambe, along with whistleblower Ben-Hur Louie, are the ones who conspired to keep the ill-gotten wealth. However, the anti-graft court ruled that the totality of the prosecution's evidence is sufficient to establish her guilt beyond reasonable doubt. Napoles was tagged as a mastermind of the multi-million peso pork barrel scam where lawmakers diverted their discretionary funds to bogus organizations. She was found guilty in December last year in connection with the misuse of the Priority Development Assistance Fund of former Senator Bong Revilla, who was later acquitted from plunder charges. Napoles and former Senator Jinggoy Estrada were earlier allowed by the Sandiganbayan to seek an outright dismissal of their plunder charges. Aside from her plunder and graft cases, Napoles was charged in connection with the 900 million peso Malampaya fund scam.
Malacanang on Sunday described Jude Sabio, the lawyer who accused President Rodrigo Duterte of committing crimes against humanity before the International Criminal Court, as hallucinating. This after Sabio said he was being harassed by the Duterte administration. In a TV interview, Sabio claimed that he was in self-imposed hiding after a 13 Martires court ordered his arrest for the deficiency in his mandatory continuing legal education or MCLE. He also says his life is in danger after he went to The Hague to lodge his complaint. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo denied that there was the existence of a warrant of arrest for deficiency in the MCLE and that simply he wanted exposure. In 2018, Sabio filed his certificate of candidacy to run for senator, but the Commission on Elections declared him a nuisance candidate. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara plans to order the investigation of the 10 prosecutors included in the narco list of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA. Guevara says once PDEA names these prosecutors and supplies evidence, he will lead the fact-finding investigations against them. He says the Department of Justice is also open to the conduct of a parallel investigation with PDEA and will strictly implement the zero-tolerance policy enforced by President Rodrigo Duterte against government officials involved in drugs. Senator Richard Gordon is urging the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency to file charges against celebrities named in the government's drug watch list. Gordon says PDEA should not resort to trial by publicity and instead file charges against erring celebrities according to the law. He says public personalities such as artists and those in show business should have a day in court and be presumed innocent until proven guilty. Meanwhile, Senate President Tito Soto says TV and movie producers should not give projects to showbiz personalities found involved in illegal drugs, as these celebrities are bad models for the youth. Soto urges TV executives to help rehabilitate talents who may be using drugs. He earlier said he is in favor of releasing a validated celebrity narco list. The PNP seizes over 200 firearms and other explosives. And over 7,000 troops joined the Balikatan joint exercises. More on these and other news around the metro from Benj Bondok.
Over 200 firearms, 34 explosives, and over 6,000 rounds of ammunition were seized by the CIDG in focused police operations from March 22 to 28. The operations led to the arrest of 168 suspects, including 23 local officials. They will all be charged with violation of the COMELEC gun ban. Meanwhile, House Speaker Gloria Macapagal Arroyo called on Filipinos to see China as a development partner rather than a threat to the Philippines. During the recent BOA Forum for Asia held in Hainan, Arroyo said the Philippines should develop its ties with Asia's largest economy since Manila would also benefit from Beijing's progress. Arroyo also cited China's help in the development of infrastructure in the country. Arroyo's remarks came amid concerns over the Philippines' loans from China. In other news, over 7,000 Filipino-American and Australian troops are participating in this year's Balikatan exercises from April 1 to 12 in northern and southern Luzon. Balikatan 2019 aims to enhance the interoperability of participating forces aside from highlighting long-standing military relations between the Philippines and the US. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondok.
Still to come, damage to crops brought by El Niño jumps to 4.35 billion pesos. The Finance Department assures that government loans from other countries will not drag the Philippines into a debt trap. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Ay 1960s na power transmitter. Nakikita niyo mo ito isa. Hindi na makakabili ng ganito.
Sir, may yan. On-air yan, sir.
On-air na ito, no?
Ito pa.
Anong tawag ito sa English? No?
Ito, sir. 4-100 vacuum tubes. 4-100.
4-400 vacuum tubes. Tubo. Ilaw. Wala na yan. Hindi mo na mahanap yan. Only here in Legazpi. As the Filipinas. But we will work on improving this.
This is Secretary Martin Andanon, and you're watching.
Agricultural losses due to the weak El Niño now affecting the country are estimated to have reached 4.35 billion pesos. According to the Department of Agriculture, the dry spell has destroyed over 200,000 metric tons of crops and damaged 149,494 hectares of farmland. Total number of affected farmers and fisherfolk reached over 138,000 in 14 regions. some 269 billion pesos worth of rice were recorded, while corn has reached 1.66 billion pesos worth of losses. The Department of Agriculture says the processing of documents for areas declared under state of calamity due to El Niño are ongoing. Meantime, about 95.8 million pesos worth of financial assistance have been allotted to benefit nearly 4,000 affected farmers. The Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation has paid 43 million pesos worth of insurance to affected farmers in regions 1, 3, 4A, 6, and 10. A total of 18.3 million pesos was also released for cloud seeding operations in the El Niño affected areas. The Department of Finance reassured the public that the Philippines will not fall into a debt trap as the government expands its infrastructure investments through concessional loan financing. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III says none of the projects funded with official development assistance from countries like Japan and China allow for the takeover of domestic assets in case of non-payment. He says the government only borrows for projects that will generate economic gains which are greater than the borrowing cost, and that all projects undergo a rigorous system of reviews and approvals by the Cabinet and the President before it gets funded. Dominguez says that by 2022, the country's project debt to China will account for 4.5%, while that of Japan's will be twice as large at 9.5% of the total debt. Lanao del Norte is poised to become one of the prime producers of honey and other products derived from bees as the province has expanded the number of beneficiaries of its beekeeping project. The bee farming project was introduced in the province in 2017 through the initiative of Lanao del Norte 2nd District Representative Abdullah Dimaporo, UP Los Baños, and Mariano Marcos State University. More than 30 colonies of honey-producing bees have been distributed to residents. A single colony has thousands of bees in it. Aside from the honey, the bee farmers have also harvested other products such as bee pollen and bee propolis. Close to 30 residents have already availed of the beekeeping project in the towns of Sultan Naga Dimaporo, Kapatagan, and Tubod. The produce from these bee farms have yet to reach commercial scale. Meantime, the beekeeping trainees will finish their training sometime this April. The military congratulated the student activist turned Army scholar who graduated at the Liceo de Davao Tagum College. The 24-year-old supporter of the Communist New People's Army surrendered to government forces and became a scholar of the Philippine Army's 71st Infantry Battalion. The former activist, identified as alias Peter, received his diploma on Bachelor of Science in Secondary Education last Friday. Peter was a student of Salugpungan School in Maco, Compostela Valley. The school has been reportedly penetrated by communist recruiters teaching students to oppose the government. Peter and his brother, an informant of the New People's Army, surrendered to the government last year and expressed his intention to join the Army. The 71st Infantry Battalion has vowed to continue to provide interventions in areas affected by communist insurgency. The Philippine National Police honors the policemen who fought off members of the New People's Army in Victoria, Northern Samar. Meanwhile, the Bureau of Customs reports fewer smuggling incidents in Zamboanga City. More on this and other stories from the provinces from Janice Cave.
18 officers and men of the Victoria Municipal Police Station are honored for their successful repulse of a big band of New People's Army last Thursday. In a flag ceremony in Camp Crame this morning, PNP Chief Director General Oscar Albayaldes says the 18 policemen will be awarded for their bravery, including meritorious promotions. The distinguished personnel received the Medalya ng Kadakilaan, while 2 of them received the Medalya ng Sugotang Magiting. Meanwhile, the Department of Agriculture has warned against a possible water crisis in northern and central Luzon due to the drying up of rivers and creeks. Agriculture Secretary Manuel Piñol says the destruction of forest cover has contributed to the shortage. Piñol is calling for the creation of a multi-agency team that will manage deforestation, implement dredging of major river systems, and construction of dams for irrigation. In Zamboanga City, smuggling activities are reportedly waning due to the active coordination between the Bureau of Customs and other law enforcement agencies. A Viber group consisting of representatives from the City Mayor's Office, Task Force Zamboanga, Customs Police, Coast Guard, intelligence agents, and other concerned agencies continuously monitor and stop smuggling. The Coast Guard also assigned a patrol vessel to boost the city's anti-smuggling campaign. Meanwhile, the BOC identified several truckloads of smuggled rice that were intercepted in different checkpoints last week as old stocks were imported last year without pertinent documents. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Up next, the DILG calls for more support for the government's immunization drive from local government units. Japan announces the name of the era signifying the reign of its upcoming emperor. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
The Environment, Tourism and Interior Departments recommended to close Boracay for 6 months.
To address issues such as illegal structures and faulty drainage systems that is affecting Boracay's prized beach.
The last time na nandito is 2017. It's actually crowded. Sobrang dami ng tao. Everywhere, makikita mo talaga bars and drinks and makalat talaga.
We had more cases of skin disease. We had more cases of diarrhea.
So nagkasama-sama lahat ng mga agencies, tiningnan ano ba ang plano natin sa Boracay, compliance on Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, at saka yung ating environmental compliance.
When they started demolishing, we saw that there was action, that they put their money where their mouth is.
Lahat ng nagamit na tubig ng customer, we collect it through our sewer lines, and then it goes through a treatment process sa treatment plant.
It was nice that it happened. Finally, Boracay got the attention it is in deep need of.
I think a lot of work was done during the closure. The water is clear, the oceans are clean, there seems to be a lot of wildlife returning. We had for the first time in 10 years, we had turtles hatching on the beach a couple of days ago.
During the closure, you could see like the eagles came back and everything that we have had for a long time.
Pumasyal pa nga yung mga kondito udanding, galing na Cebu.
In the end, it's a good thing, yes. It was hard for us, but it was also a wake-up call.
The beach was cleaned up and is officially set to reopen on October 26th.
Wala nang kumakain sa beach, bawal nang manigarilyo.
Gumanda yung isla namin as in bumalik sa dati na ambience.
We teach kids about pollution, solid waste management, because they're the ones who will sustain all the things that we're doing now.
Starting this April, provincial buses are no longer allowed to ply along EDSA in efforts to ease traffic. But will a ban on provincial buses solve Metro Manila's traffic situation, or will it become a burden on commuters from the provinces? Let's find out in today's Boses ng Masa.
Mahirapan po kami magbiyahe-biyahe. Iba na naman na terminal. Galing pa ang Bulacan, malayo.
Sir, kasi sobrang traffic dito yan sa Cubao, Umar talaga, sir. Yan ang nagkukus ng traffic. Kasi papasok, naka-aatras pa. Talagang yan, sir, eh. Nag-build up ng traffic, kaya kailangan maalis sila dito, sir. Pabor ako doon.
Hindi eh. Kasi malaking tulong yan sa mga taga-probinsya na hindi na mamamasahe ulit. Kasi kung doon pa sa malayo, no, ang Provincial bus terminal, mamamasahe ulit sila. So doble gastos para sa mga kababayan natin na galing sa probinsya.
Para lumuwag ang mga traffic dito sa Maynila. Sobrang traffic na eh. Ang mga baslaan dito ng mga nagpapasikip dito sa lugar ng Maynila. Ay kung mawawala yan, edi luluwag-luwag ang ating syudad, ano, hindi ka? Ayun na lang masasabi ko.
Hindi ko masabi kasi parang ilan naman ang mga rin dito eh. Kasi may narinig ako sa balita na hindi naman parang solusyon yung alisin yung mga malalaking rito eh, sa loob ng Manila. Para sa akin hindi ako papabor dahil mahirap nga para sa amin kung manggagaling kami ng Bulacan, uuwi ng Batangas eh. Tapos doon pa kami bababa sa malayo, lalabas pa ng Manila.
The Department of Interior and Local Government called on local government units to be proactive in implementing the government's nationwide immunization campaign. In a memorandum issued by the DILG, LGUs are urged to support the Department of Health in encouraging more youths to get vaccinated. The DOH reports nearly 23,000 cases of measles as of March this year compared to about 2,300 last year. DILG Secretary Eduardo Años says LGUs may use 5% of their local disaster risk reduction and management fund for immunization. LGUs are also told to coordinate with the DOH Center for Development Health Regional Office to improve information dissemination. The DILG is eyeing the extension of immunization schedules until weekends so that more people could get vaccines. And in our foreign news, Japan has announced the name of its new Imperial era, a month ahead of the impending change of the empire's leadership. Japan's new era beginning May 1 will be named Reiwa, taken from the characters meaning order and peace. Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshihide Suga announced the Imperial era's new name, which will succeed the current era of Heisei Monday morning. The cabinet of Prime Minister Shinzo Abe decided the new era name after hearing the opinions of experts. Earlier, Abe says he believed the process would produce a name that would lead to a new era brimming with hope. Crown Prince Naruhito will succeed his father, Emperor Akihito, to the throne on May 1st, the official start of the Reiwa era. Emperor Akihito expressed desire to abdicate due to old age. The 2019 PBA AllStar Game in Calasiao, Pangasinan ended Sunday with the North team upstaging the South in a lopsided high-scoring spectacle. The North dominated the AllStar Game 185-170, making this year's game the highest scoring ever. Arwin Santos and Japeth Aguilar shared the AllStar MVP award, with Santos making 32 points and 17 rebounds, and Aguilar scoring 32 with 8 rebounds. Aguilar made heads turn when he jumped over five-time MVP June Marra Fajardo with a windmill jam. Paul Lee established a new all-star high of 9 three-pointers. L.A. Tenorio made a triple-double with 11 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists, while Alex Cabagnot, Marco Lassiter, Calvin Abueva, and Troy Rosario had their own double-digit outputs. PBA legends Alvin Patrimonio and Jerry Cordillera played with the losing team, while Ronnie Magsanok suited up with the North, who now dominate the game with 9 wins and 4 losses. One wheelchair will be donated to the Alagang PBA program for each three-pointer and dunk made. More jobs have been opened in Marawi City thanks to the ongoing Kawiyagan program. The new jobs include the temporary employment for students who want to earn extra for their families. Sweet Lukman from the PIA has his report.
Hundreds of residents flocked to Marawi City Hall grounds to submit applications for any job opportunities and avail themselves of skills training through the 7th Kawiyagan. The Department of Labor and Employment Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao opened 500 slots for each special program for the employment of students, which aims to provide temporary employment to displaced youth or students aged 17 to 25 years old to augment their family's income and to ensure that they are able to continue their studies. Meanwhile, the United Nations Human Settlements Program conducted skills assessment interview for skilled workers, masonry, welder, carpenters, for the calibration of skills and competency schedule of the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority. A total of 450 skilled workers are targeted to be hired for the construction of 1,500 permanent houses funded by Japanese government. TESDA has commenced its enrollment for skills training on cookery, bread and pastry, dressmaking, computer system servicing, electrical installation and maintenance, shielded metal arc welding, carpentry, and masonry. Other member agencies of the Subcommittee on Business and Livelihood of the Task Force Bangon Marawi and its partner organizations distributed livelihood support to the internally displaced persons and returned residents of Marawi. These agencies include the Department of Agrarian Reform and Department of Agriculture and Fisheries of BARM, Department of Trade and Industry, Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, Catholic Relief Services, and Community and Family Services International. Marawi Farm Cooperatives, Al-Shahara Cooperative, Pila Producer Cooperative, and Kalangkapan Producer Cooperative have displayed their products during the Kauyagan. They were beneficiaries of the Food Security Convergence of the Department of Agriculture and Fisheries BARM, Department of Agrarian Reform BARM, Food and Agriculture Organization, and World Food Program. Bara Lao of Kalangkapan Producer Cooperative expressed his gratitude for all the agricultural support he received. With the help of the DAF BARM, Lao underwent a training on fermented plant juice processing as well as livestock and poultry raising. Moreover, the beneficiaries of Community and Family Services International and Catholic Relief Services also showcased their products such as baskets, street foods, malongs, and other Maranao traditional products. Launched on August 24, 2018, Kauyagan is a series of monthly distribution of livelihood assistance to the IDPs pursued by the members of TFBM's Subcommittee on Business and Livelihood, humanitarian organizations, and local government of Marawi City, to ensure that the affected residents receive livelihood support and assistance to recover from the siege. Together with Lou Antonio for PNA Newsroom, Sweet Lukman, Philippine Information Agency.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories.
The Sandiganbayan upholds the guilty verdict on the plunder case of Janet Lim Napoles. Damage to crops brought by El Niño jumps to 4.35 billion pesos. The Finance Department assures the government's loans from other countries will not drag the Philippines into a debt trap. And Japan announces the name of a new era signifying the reign of its upcoming emperor.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I am Miguel Hill. Good day.